and having this conversation is so obvious, the differences between, like, even in your mind. So you've got your porn life, you've got your personal life, and like obviously that shows all based around the effect porn's having on us. What effect do you think porn's had on people's sex life?
On sex, right? What I think, right? So people might not agree with this, but I think like porn. I know some people say porn needs to be a bit more educational, right? Yeah, okay. You can have some porn out there that's educational, right? Okay. I don't know who's going to watch educational porn. It doesn't really matter, right? I think, first of all, parents. I mean, you know yourself, Asian parents don't even talk to their kids about sex. They don't talk. Don't talk to your girl about periods. It's like they don't think that you know everything, right? But you don't. Education, and I think it starts at home. And I think parents have got to open up with their kids a lot more and discuss these things and explain to them, like, okay, I understand, like, kids come across porn on their phones and stuff these days at a lot younger age. Like, it's not the same as back in the day, not like you, my day, people older than me, where they had to go to a sex shop to get a VHS tape and, you know, underneath the table sort of things, or you borrowed your friend, you know, your friend gave you a record. Like these days, it's all out there. You didn't have the, you know, you didn't have the internet back in the day, so you had to go to a shop and buy it. It was a lot harder to access, I think. But the easier access, I think there needs to be a lot more education around it. Like some people think, and I've heard it from kids, like friends' kids, and other people, some of my cousins' kids, that they think that, like a lot of guys think that what the young guys think that what they see in porn is like real sex, and what people, like what girl, or that's how they should be having sex. And then there's and for the females, like the younger girls, they feel like there's a pressure on them to behave in a certain manner. So that the guys are like, oh well, I saw this and I saw that, and then the girls think they have to do it because the guys think that that's what sex is meant to be like. You know, or like deep throating and gagging on cock and I don't know, slapping. You know, I'm not gonna. I've done porn. You know, I shoot porn like that. You know what I mean? I shoot porn. It's quite rough, but I wouldn't want that in my personal life. You know, I wouldn't want some guy slapping me around the face in my personal life while we were having sex. It doesn't do nothing. But being, as you call it, a performer, you can see certain things. You know, as an artist or performer, you can see how it looks. It gives a bit of a bit to it, right? It's like I shot a scene where it was a hijabi scene, but it was like a rob, like I was in a kitchen doing my stuff, right, and the robber comes in. It was a hard scene, right, but it was like a proper. We had to call it. We couldn't put the word rape in it there. You couldn't do it. But it was all consensual, and I think it was all consensual. But even the performer I was doing it with, it was a content thing, right, and I paid him for it. And that's how I wanted it. I wanted a shoot that was a bit dark and a bit. Like the guy was controlling it all. Because like some of these porn scenes, like it's like, oh, you got a robber, and then the girl's really enjoying it, and I'm like, that ain't even fun. You know, is that more real? I don't know. And he kept stopping He stopped the scene more than I did, just to make sure I was all right. Because he was like, you look like no, it's carry on, right? Because there's a scene. I'm not meant to look happy. It's meant to be like, I'm meant to look scared. Because I said, carry on. Yeah. And people said, oh, you know, because he had a knife and everything, right? That's how I found that scene. But that's the scenario. That's the setup. And I think, you know, I had to put before that when I put it up that it was all consensual. That it's not played out at home unless, you know. So I think that's another thing people have got to realise, that porn it's a fantasy. It's an adult fantasy. You know, it's not real. You have got companies out there who are shooting a bit more couple porn, real porn, and there's a market for that as well. I think there's a market for everything, because some people want to see that whole out there fantasist porn. You know, whatever fantasy you've got, right? It's like being played out on a porn screen somewhere for you. They might not want to see soft, sexual, sexy porn, but they can have that at home with their partner.
I'm with you on that, because I think where my views, I think our views are quite similar on this. I agree with you that I think the problem is the consumption at an early age. I think when your brain's not fully developed, and like when you're so impressionable, I
Yeah.
think that's where the issue lies. Whereas if you get into stuff when you're older, you understand more. It's kind of like I always picture that the porn that you watch is like a sort of reflection of what you.
Is that an extension of you?
Yeah, it is.
An extension of you. I mean, they say, I mean, so talking about like your brain developing and stuff. I mean, they sort of say your front, it doesn't actually fully develop till you're 25. That's why anything under 20, you're just, you know, after 25, that's when, you know, responsibility, you know, you can accept more of what you're, you know, before that, you're not, sort of, your brain's not fully developed. But I can see what people say, that porn isn't showing the reality to people, but I said it's not there to show the reality. The whole point of relationships, love and sex and XYZ, it shouldn't be up to porn. It shouldn't be down to porn film to teach you that. It should be down to your parents. I mean, take films for instance, right? If you see a really horrible horror film, I don't like horror films, but if you saw and you see violence in these films, you know, it's so much violence, you know, it's that. Are you going to go out and do you think that's what life is?
I agree.
Think, you know, do you think, oh, so in a film you see, you know, it's a film, a woman's getting raped by a guy. Do you think, oh, that's real life? I can go out and do that, you know? So if you don't, you know, if you don't attach that to a mainstream film, and some of that's more violent and in a mainstream film, etc. You know, even sexually, okay, you can't see anything, right? It's all simulated, but some of them films even are more violent sexually and graphically than porn. Porn is just there, you know. Porn is just in your face. You know, the girl's getting slapped, she's getting pissed on. You know, I mean, there are some scenes out there I think it's too much, even for me, and I haven't done it. Like legal porno, that all this double anal business.
Yeah.
It's not for me. I don't do it. I don't like how they treat the women on there, so I wouldn't do it. If people go, oh, you haven't, no, it's not for me. But there are some people who are very happy doing it. You know, they enjoy it. So is it wrong that they enjoy that? They want to go and do it? As a grown up, right? As an adult, if you enjoy certain aspects of sex, right? Whether it be violence, you know, whether you like to be strangled, you know, not to the point of dying, but you know, whether you like to have a bit of strangulation during sex, whether you like, you know, a bit of slapping about during sex. You know, it's like saying, I take the fetish guys, right? Some of them guys like the shit kicked out of them, right? They like the balls being like kicked bad, you know, really hard, and they like their dick being slapped hard. Now, if that, you know, if a girl started doing that to you in real life, slap, 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 and they go, well, oh, but I saw that in porn. I saw that in some fetish films that I saw, right? They were slapping the shit out the guy's cock, so I thought that's what all guys like, yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think there's a responsibility not on the actual productions, because like you said, like nobody would go watch a Hollywood blockbuster. Nobody would go watch a Hollywood.
Mainstream films have warnings, don't they? They have like a thing at the front, a disclaimer. You know, and I think some porn films have that as well. They have disclaimers now at the front and end. Everything is for consensual, and you know, it's all fantasy, it's blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But you know, whoever sees that front and end bit, if you're a person, if you're somebody who's been passing around this clip and it's been stolen off you, as it always does, that ends up on these tube sides, the front bit and end bit isn't in there. You just got the little whatever part they're watching, and they might just see. It's like people, you know. I mean, I've done some. People go, oh, I mean, I've had people say to me that I can't watch that scene of yours. That's some of the American scenes I did. They got, I didn't like how the guys treated you. You know, how they threw you on the sofa and then like stuffed the cocks down your mouth and really, literally, orally ripped your mouth and held your nose and everything. He said it was too much, and I was like, well, I was fine with it. I got paid. I went home. I got paid. You know, I mean, for me, I think. Like if there's anything that's ever been too hard, I've always stopped and said, look, it's too much. You know, if you slap me too hard, I will stop you and say, don't fucking slap me too hard, right? So if you do that, there was a guy in America. There was two girls and me and this other girl and him, and he slapped me really hard, right? And I thought, okay, I slapped him back, and then he just looked at me. I thought, this is what happened. Like, don't slap me that. I thought, you know, and he got really annoyed, right? And I thought, well, You thought you could slap me?
Yeah.
In a scene, right, that hasn't been pre-agreed to. But, you know, this is before, like, these days, there's a lot of, there's a bit more, I would say, ethics around porn. You know, people, you know, everything's like, you know, what you're happy with, what you're not happy with, making sure that no boundaries are pushed. You know, when I first started, we didn't have all that. But when I did Game of Thrones, and now they've got intimacy coordinators on mainstream sets. Like when I did that, they didn't have it. You know, after all this Epstein thing and all that stuff came out, and so now they have like intimacy coordinators who are there to help you navigate the scene. Not that it's much to navigate in a mainstream adult scene. But in Game of Thrones, I think somebody asked me, and I was like, no, we didn't have so 2011, there was nothing like intimacy coordinators. And now they have. They're there to make sure you're all comfortable. Nothing's happening that you don't want to happen. You're all good. Yeah. I think they're really good. I think they're great.
I was just about to say, I like how they thought that you would need the intimacy coordinator. You're like, no, I've got this. This is my domain.
Yeah, they do. But they go through positions with you, because obviously everything's got to be covered in them as well. You know, like it's all simulated, so you can't really show too much. But even with the positions, they're always like, "Are you okay? Are you not okay? Do you need like a little cushion, like so he, you know, it doesn't touch or whatever." It's
yeah. That's good.
It's interesting. It's I did one last year. Was it last year? Yeah, last year. For a mainstream company. And while we were doing the scene, the mainstream male performer, he asked for a little cushion, and the intimacy cord. So I had a C-string on because I wanted to, and they were like, "Do you want nipple covers?" I was like, "Nice, all right." And she said to me, "Do you mind if he has this cushion?" And I was like, I looked at her and I said, "What's it for?" And it was like a spoon position. So she said, "Oh, just hold it behind you." And when he turns, but he was with this other girl, and they was meant to roll over. But when he rolls over, he'll just put it in place. I think he obviously didn't want to like bang against the bum, right? I don't know. And I was like, "Fine, it's all good. It's all good." You know what I mean? It's like they're there to make sure everybody's happy. Nothing, you know, everybody, including camera people, and you know,
You mentioned Epstein there. Obviously, there's like been a few cases, and I do have to say, like when I was looking up about it, exploitation, like does that still persist, like exploitation in porn, or are there measures in place that like effectively stop it?